Hello, this is Community Unity Now, the D-Tycoon Show. I'm Bill Morton, president of the Rogers Park Chamber of Commerce. Our co-host, Trudy Leong, administrator of the Rogers Park Chamber of Commerce, had to work today. So we are here today, very honored to be with Alfie Jackson.
Hi.
And her dad, Michael Jackson. Hi. The famous Michael Jackson.
Yes, this is the famous one.
The one that you've heard. And Alfie, you have a new album called The Peacock.
Yes, the Peacocks.
And the Peacocks, okay. Mm-hmm. So is it your first album?
Yes, this is my first release on Jacko Jazz Productions. So yeah, it's really exciting. Yeah.
And so how did your dad influence you?
Well, I mean, growing up, because my dad is a journalist, jazz journalist, he'd be, reviewing all the newest CDs and going to all the shows and taking photos, and I was always with him. So, being so immersed in all of the music at the time just, I guess, sunk into me. And also, we're just very similar personalities. We spend a lot of time together while I was growing up. So, definitely has had a big influence on me.
I've been to a lot of jazz clubs. I know a lot of jazz musicians. I go to all of the local college radio stations and some of the larger ones as well. Mm-hmm. And I have shows, so I know what's going on. And every time I've seen Michael Jackson here, he's always with you, Alfie.
Yes.
You guys are always together. You guys have a really tight bond.
Yes, we do. Yeah, it's really special. I'm a very lucky girl.
Well, it's a sense of humour as well. And also Alfie is spontaneous, which so many people aren't, to be honest. And it's a very jazz thing. So not only is she spontaneous and original in what she performs and does it differently every time, which is a jazz thing, she's up for it. Let's go. Let's check something out. Let's go. Last week it was like, let's go to the jam down at Andy's. We just jammed at Le Piano in the neighbourhood. Mm-hmm. And she's like, let's go jam at Andy's, Mm-hmm. And I'm like, oh, okay. We didn't go in the end, but there's some great people.
You didn't go to Andy's Jazz Club? You didn't go?
We didn't go that particular night.
We ended up going.
Someone we were with, I think, didn't want to go. So
yeah, there was
it was a flow issue.
Yeah.
So we had a lovely night at the piano, and of course, Tim Fitzgerald, who was a mentor to Alfie on guitar, helped her with an audition at DePaul that she had. Actually, Alfie composed an original blues that somewhat poked fun at the whole audition process.
Yeah.
And Tim, who's a wonderful guitarist in the George Benson type. I shouldn't forget Wes Montgomery, who is his idol. So, and then we played with Dan Trudell, also, who's like a meister of the organ, and that was a great thrill for me because we played together, and then afterwards we hung out with him.
Le Piano's a really great little spot. Yeah. It's a good vibe there. I really enjoy it.
Right, yeah.
It's great, and the cool thing about the Le Piano on Glenwood is you can go underneath the piano. That there's like this. It's like a VIP thing over there.
Yeah, you can land at the piano and get the surround sound. It's also just got everything. It's on it has that outside area, and they have really great food. The Brussels sprouts are really good, guys.
There's a lot of different clubs and things, but this one's in Rogers Park, and so
it's like right by our house. Yeah.
And you guys are Rogers Parkers as well.
We're neighbors.
I went to the famous party.
Oh my God!
And you can mention it. You can mention that one.
Well, that was a lovely night. I was playing. I had a thing going for a while. I can't remember how long now. Pre-pandemic, I had a regular monthly gig. It turned into a monthly at the Chicago Magic Lounge. And I wanted to, in between weeks, to do something close by. I didn't want to have to worry about parking, and I could get a little cart and take my saxophone to the end of the street, because I kept getting tickets elsewhere, So I thought, well, this place called the Safari Lounge at the end of the street looks lively. So I went in there, propositioned them, and then we ended up having a run there. And the night that you were there, was a birthday party. It was one of the owners' birthday, and it was Isaiah Spencer's birthday. It was my trombonist, who's a great guy, Johnny Janawi, who plays with Liquid Soul. It was his birthday, and it was my birthday, so I made a big scorpion cake, and then I had this amazing bass player from England, Paul Rogers, staying with me, who was working with these French musicians who come over under the auspices of The Bridge. The
Bridge is so awesome.
Yeah, they're improvised music cats from Paris, all over France.
And they make like a voyage every, like, how many times a year?
Like spring
to Chicago.
Yeah.
So it's really cool.
So those cats were in town, so we ended up doing a big game of Pass the Parcel, which you might have been involved with, Bill.
I was involved in Pass the Parcel.
Did you get the gift?
I think I didn't.
Oh, do you remember what it was? It was probably like napkins or
I don't remember.
a bottle of bubbles. Or...
Yeah, I mean, it was
I would have remembered if I would have won that gift, whatever it was.
But the wonderful thing was Paul, who has a special custom-made bass. It's like a viola da gamba or something. It's like a Renaissance bass that's custom-made for him. Played that. I said, well, Pass the Parcel in England is a party game where there's usually some terrible music and everyone, when the music stops, then people pass, the gift. And I had this wonderful world-class viola da gamba player play the Pass the Parcel music. So we had a blast that night. I'm so glad you were there.
And I think I lasted the whole night, actually.
You did?
Yeah, you were the last one there.
Let it be known.
You kept the party going. It was him.
It
was him. He kept the party going.
Bill Morton is a hangmeister, man. There's
they
no
say
question.
I know how to party.
Hangmeister.
Yeah. That's
My friend
true.
Olden would say that. Hangmeister.
So tell me about that instrument that we had at that. What was that instrument again? Where he came and then he had that special instrument.
Well, I'm calling it a viola da gamba. I'm not really sure what that is. It's kind of like a cello, but it's custom made, I think, for Paul, who is very well known in Europe, improvised musician who I knew decades ago from London days, playing with Evan Parker and all the famous improvisers in London. He now lives in France, in an obscure local town. He's a hardcore improvised musician. He will not play. He does occasionally tour with shows, actually, but generally speaking, it's improvised music, only, music of the moment.
And it was really special to see him in Rogers Park at your house at 4 or 3, whatever time it was in the morning after the party. It was great.
It was my buddy Alain Drouot, actually, who's French, who always supports the Bridge. And he suggested he stay with me, and of course I knew Paul. In fact, I used to do drawings at gigs decades ago, and I'd done some drawings of Paul Rogers decades earlier. So I knew him very well. I was like, oh, what a fabulous idea. And we go on like a house on fire. And Paul sends me an email every month. It's exactly the same length, and he usually says, there's no gigs, and blah, blah, blah. But he's always a lovely message that makes my day, So he's welcome any time.
That's great. And Alfie, when I first met you, I had no idea you were actually a musician.
Oh, well.
You didn't clue me in on that, and you weren't performing or anything.
Yeah.
So how long have you been performing?
Well, I started doing my school talent shows. I think the first one I did was in first grade, and I did a comedy act thing. But then as I got older, I wanted to sing. I got more interested in music, and so we ended one of our comedy. We being my dad and I, because he would help me put it together. I ended one of my shows with singing the Star Spangled Banner. It was like the punchline of a joke. And then from then, I started performing songs and music and stuff. And then also I did Dude Fest, which is something that did... What year was that? And then I started performing at the Magic Lounge a bit, and I realized I wanted to take music seriously. So then I went to Shy Arts and did a lot of performances through that school. But then obviously COVID happened, sadly. But yeah, so I guess... the first performance I did was probably the 4th grade, if you count the talent show. But professionally, or more seriously, it's been a couple of years. 3, 4.
We were talking about nerves at a previous interview, and Alfie used to get nervous, but who's the great tenor, operatic tenor, and Katy Perry and Nora Nairo and Barbara Streisand and Ozzy Osbourne. They all have had terrible nerves, but Alfie would do very complex things, which eventually involved magic, which is another story. I would write these preposterous scripts for her with lots of puns and wordplay, and she would just kind of remember it in one hit and nail it. And I was kind of like, because I was kind of blown away how she had this memory for lyrics and stuff, and just complex comedic theatrical stuff. Yeah, man.
Yeah, I guess.
So with your new album, The Peacocks, are they standards or are they originals?
So there's a mixed bag here. We've got some standards, because this was recorded in 2023. It was the summer after I graduated high school with some of the other people in the band who were the same age.
Some
a couple
of whom
people
hadn't graduated.
are younger.
Yeah.
Yes. But so a lot of it was the repertoire that we'd been doing at school, so it's standards, but there's also some songs that I wrote my own lyrics to. So After the Rain by John Coltrane, I wrote lyrics to. The Peacocks by Jimmy Rels, I wrote lyrics to. And then I also threw in an original called I Deserve This, which is a more like alternative contemporary vibe. It's like a little gem in there. But yeah. So it's a mix.
How did you come across the lyrics to those two songs that didn't originally have lyrics? How did you choose the lyrics? How did you write? How did you put your words to the music?
Well, okay, so that was actually one of the challenges of the combo that I was in at Shy Arts. There hadn't been a vocalist in it before, and I had kind of like stuck around and like skipped my other class and hung out in there and been like, can I sing? Can I sing? Can I sing? Do you need a singer? Ha ha ha. And then like Anthony Bruno was like, all right. My second semester of senior year was like, okay, like register for the class. Like, let's do this. So there was kind of I needed to integrate myself somehow. And there were all these songs that were being suggested, and I was like, and I didn't have a problem with just singing the melody without lyrics, but I find at that time I found it easier to express emotion with lyrics. So Mr. Bruno, which is still funny to call him that, Anthony Bruno, who's a great saxophone player in the city of Chicago, he was suggesting After the Rain because he loved that song, and he was like telling me about what it means to him and like the emotions that he felt behind it, and I was kind of trying to tell my own story within those emotions. I mean, senior year was a crazy time in my life, so I was like, yeah, I can write with this. But with the Peacocks, that has its own story. So my dad had always played that song on the piano while I was growing up, and so I'd always like known the song, but I didn't know what it was or what its like significance was, but because my dad's not a pianist, so I was kind of like, what is this significance of this song? And we were looking for some songs to play at a performance at school, and I was like, I want to do that one because it was really stuck in my head. And I asked my dad about it, and he told me that the significance of that song to him is that it's the last song that his father, my grandfather, ever played on the record player. And that when he went back to England to, see his family after hearing about his dad, he like walked into the living room and they were playing the song, and like he saw his older brother, crying, and it was just like a really emotional, haunting moment. And that really struck me because I never met my grandfather on either side. I mean, I was one when I met my mother's father, but I digress. So I've always there's always been this mystery of like, who are these people and what would they have thought of me, and, what kind of relationship would I have had, and what were they like? So the first part of the song is about, the lyrics that I wrote are about the perspective of my grandfather listening to that song as he was passing away. And then the second part of the song is me like asking him like, what would it have been like to know each other, and like, who were you, and
So
Yeah.
it's really deep, and I used to cry every time she'd sing it. She sang at the jazz festival, and I cried. Someone had to come over and give me a cuddle. You know, it's a good friend of mine, Sean Hardy, came over.
Sausage.
She gave me a cuddle.
Yeah.
But
So that's what the lyrics are.
yeah, it's just kind of you know, I'm a believer. We had a big chat with the band, Alfie's Sextet, about religion and famous jazz musicians and the meaning of life, basically, yesterday, I think, and it was quite interesting thinking. You know, I have somewhat of a belief in reincarnation. I do think that one thing we talked about was the Association for the Advancement of Creative Musicians in Chicago, which is a fantastic organisation, talking of community, who really brought what they stipulated back in the 60s was personal expression. Muhal Richard Abrams, the great genius of the AACM who started it, brought people in from all kinds of backgrounds and ability, and it was okay to have a limited ability on your instrument, but you had to come with something original, right? It wasn't borrowed from licks. A great member of the AACM, Anthony Braxton, who's currently on the cover of Downbeat magazine, August issue, is, you know, kind of acknowledged genius, doesn't play kind of licks or, you know, in the kind of bebop tradition. And that was very radical back in those days. And Alfie's been quite influenced. I have some friends, Wadada Leo Smith's a good example, who does these beautiful graphic scores and has a completely unique way, a unique language that he calls Ankara-Smashian, that's based on him being living in Iceland for a while and being a Rastafari, you know, having interest in Persian and Rastafarian cultures. I'll stop there. But Alfie has been kind of influenced also by that and freeform and at the New School she's been studying with some very interesting teachers who've blown her mind in different ways. So she's, and again, this is a community station, and the community aspect of jazz where everyone can exchange conversations. But the ASCM in Chicago stipulated originality. Okay, so even though we're playing, you know, on the CD, for example, some well-known material, everybody's improvising in the moment, and
So you never get the same performance when you do it live. You never get the same exact song exactly the same way when you record it. Either.
Right.
That's rock and roll, you know. I used to play in a band, an acid jazz band, and there was a certain, you know, people would say, "Can you play the riff the same way?" And obviously we had some tunes, and I'd written some lines for them, and you know, keep them the same each time. But when it comes to the blowing, you know, I just don't know. Had to be different. Had to be, you know, it's just one of those compulsions, you know.
So the peacocks. You've intrigued us here on the show and everyone in the city of Chicago now. Can you give us some of those lyrics?
Oh, yeah, okay.
Because I've got your booklet here. Are the lyrics in the booklet?
Yes.
Right here?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Do you have to sing them, won't you?
I'm not going to sing them.
I'll sing them. I don't know the lyrics. I'll sing a melody.
The first part, in the perspective of my grandfather, is they're calling to me in the Knaresborough night. Knaresborough is the village in England where they lived. The peacocks, they croon in the Knaresborough night alone. Suddenly I'm feeling very tired. Feathers shine like peace inside my eyelids. I feel myself drifting far into the ether. And then I sang, would you have told me you loved me if we had ever got the chance? Their beaks have picked out a hole in my little aching beating heart. Mirrors say they think I look just like you. And then what does it say? Every now and then I think I hear you. If you had known me, you would have never been alone. And then in the chorus part, I sing, I've been told so many things, but I can't hold them in your hand. I'll grow old, and I'll wonder what I have in common with this man. Let me know in all the colors of this music that you played, and I swear not to let it all slip from my memory as my eyes drip to the peacocks.
So if you like, the ancestral thing that the AACM have, where they respect the ancestors and stuff, which is a big thing, in a way that's going through with Alfie, because she's really throwing herself backward to imagine someone who's passed who she never met. That might be a stretch, but I don't think so. I think she's very
It is really
evocative.
beautiful.
Thank you.
I remember after you did an interview the other day with Trudy
Oh, yeah.
on WLUW,
Mm-hmm.
and we were all there, and there was a song that she played directly after the interview. Do you remember what song that was?
Oh, I think it was Do I Move You?
I think so.
It was the bluesy one, right?
Yeah, what were the last kind of lyrics for that one?
Oh, well, I didn't write the lyrics to that one.
Okay.
That's a song that Nina Simone recorded.
There was one where it was like, and I drift to sleep or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
There's like a lullaby at the end.
That's...
That was the Peacocks?
Yeah.
Okay.
That was the Peacocks.
Yeah. Mhm.
Because it's talking about how I feel myself drifting far into the ether.
That was beautiful.
Thank you very much.
That was really beautiful, and,
Thank
and it
you.
really shows your voice.
Thank you very much. I
So,
appreciate it.
is that usually the final song that you do on your performances?
Well, it's very dramatic and it's sad because usually I tell the story. So I don't really like leaving people at the end of my set like sad. So it's usually like the second to last, and then I'll play like a more up-tempo song to like take it out with a party, you know what I mean? So yeah, it's usually like in the last 2 or 3.
Okay, and then your band, the Sextet, are they the same on the record as you're performing with live?
Yes, all the same people.
Okay, and why don't we just give them a shout out right now?
Yes, let's give them a shout out. We've got Chase Wilkins on drums. We've got Leo Milano on tenor saxophone.
Sam Robertson on guitar.
Sam Robertson on guitar. Wanye Williams on on vibraphone, and Daniel Ellis Perez on bass. Double bass and electric bass. We got a multi-talented guy there. So it's really great.
And they're all brilliant. They're all wonderful.
Yeah.
How about this guy right here?
Oh, and we've got Michael Jackson, who is actually on the album. He comes in with Leo. They shared the booth together on Do I Move You, and they do like a double saxophone solo. That was really, really cool and nasty, so I love that.
Yeah,
So
I
yeah,
mean,
he's featured.
Leo's a young monster as well. He's, and he's very quiet. He's very dedicated to music, and music is his thing. But he's bad, super bad. And you ask any saxophone players in town, some of my friends like Jeff Bradfield or people like that who really know what they're talking about, they'll say, oof, Leo Milano.
And he plays around a lot. Like, everybody has been playing for so long. So we all met in high school, except for Sam Robertson on guitar, who I've known since middle school. And we, kind of our lives, went on different paths for a couple of years, and then they came back together, and we were like, oh, we're both doing jazz? That's cool. And I was like, get in my band. Because then we all joined the Jazz Institute of Chicago Student Council. So then that's kind of how we started gigging together. And that was a really great opportunity. They do so much for young musicians in the city. All over, they're doing gigs for people, kids in high school. They have Fresh Fest, and they give everybody individual little moments, and it's a really great...
Heather Island and... John Foster Brooks were great. And I now steal Alfie's musicians because they're all great. So I work with Danny in a trio with a wonderful young guitarist called Senya Rogers-Kaufman, who's brilliant.
Senya's really great.
Another guy, I used Charlie Debsky at a gig at Space the other day, 16 years old, and he's super bad.
Yeah,
and
I was going to ask you if these are your Sextet, your band, or if these were hired guns, and they are your band, but they're Michael's hired guns now.
Yeah. Every time I come back, I'm like, we got to do a gig, guys. We got to do a gig. Because when you have a band, a lot of the time, and I feel like jazz, they're not always the same people. And sometimes there's, we're all in college in different places, so sometimes you got to sub somebody in. I've got Dinham Evans, who's going to be playing with me on vibraphone soon. And it'll be nice to have another girl in a band. She's cool. She's, I think, still at Shy Arts as well, but she's really great. So sometimes, when it's necessary, we switch some people. But yeah, they're great. They're some of my closest friends.
And it's a blast for me because, I get my daughter home from New York City, back to Chicago, and it matters to me that she thinks Chicago's vital and the community here, which it is very special.
Yeah.
I remember a dear friend of mine, Jim DeJong, who passed a couple of years
Jim
ago.
DeJong.
Yeah,
He was a good
very
friend.
involved.
Yeah.
Very involved.
Another guy you always see at a show.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. And
I
he
saw
was-
him
every
at
single
Trudy and I
place.
saw him at Jewel all the time.
Oh yeah.
He
yeah.
was just
really?
everywhere.
Well,
Yeah.
Jim DeJong, shortly before he died, said to me, "How's Alfie doing?" And he said, now she's in New York. He said, "Tell them in New York about Chicago." He said, and what community means in Chicago and how important it is. And they were, if you like, the last words I ever heard from Jim, very potent. And he knew all about that because he was very involved with the community. Knew everybody. Everybody knew Jim.
And just a little off here. We've only got a couple of minutes, but Joni Pilato and Sparrow, they came out with a new album called Song, and they have a song called Jim DeJong.
Oh,
No
okay.
way, really?
So you got to check that out. Now, okay, we have about a minute left. So
Okay,
tell,
well, talking of community, those guys are very much part of that.
they
involved.
certainly
Yeah.
are.
George
So
and all.
tell me what you got on your head there. We have a 30 seconds.
I have a 45 on my head, and the song is Alfie by Sonny Rollins from the movie Alfie.
Okay, so maybe, and I think that one day when we're old and or we're gone, we're done, we've passed away, maybe someone will be wearing your record on their head.
That
If they
would be
make
awesome.
records,
I hope so.
bring back records.
Oh,
CDs,
yeah.
Vinyls. I heard vinyl's making a comeback.
Yeah, vinyl's making a
Singles.
comeback.
So tell us, how do we contact you? A website?
Yes, I have a website, alfiejacksonmusic.com, ALFIE Jackson Music. And then I have an Instagram, kitchen.1987. You can check me out there. And the album is out on Bandcamp. So yeah, that's where you can find me.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us on Community Unity Now. Alfie Jackson.
Thank you so
And
much
Michael
for
Jackson.
having us.
Beautiful. I've got any cigars. I'm here Sharon Osbourne, you see. So I was going to bring a cigar from the big manager.
Thank
She's
you
like,
so
"Can't you
much
be
for
my
joining
guy?"
us, everyone.
Thank
This
you.
is Community Unity Now for Trudy Leung as well. Have a good week.